knocks it down.
What's going on, guys? D-Benz here from Game Highlights and Edits, and today I'm going to be doing 2K15 current gen review. And I just want to start off by saying this is going to be one of their best reviews on YouTube. I've watched some already, and I am blown away about the fact that there are people who are able to get a review out in 2 days. How are you supposed to actually play a game through and through in only 2 days? So as you guys know, this is over a week now this game's been out, and I'm just releasing the review today. So I mean, that goes to show I put time and effort into this. I have 3 pages of notes. I'm not just coming in here and talking about things I wanted. I'm going over facts. So I just want to start this review off by saying 2K did a terrible job with advertising this game and releasing info for current gen people. So it was pretty easy to get tricked into thinking current gen 2K15 was going to have the same newer features that next gen 2K15 was going to have. But for those who know the difference between current gen 2K14 and next gen 2K14, then you kind of already knew that it was going to be a little different. But I admit, I was let down when I got current gen 2K15 and saw what it was. And this is because I was so hyped on the new things that they talked about having that, you know, when I got it, it was hard not to be let down. That being said, though, I'm going to be talking about what this game is and what it improved on from last year, trying to ignore the differences between consoles and the versions of each game. You know, like what coulda, shoulda been added, you know, things like that. I'm going to try to avoid all that. So you know what? Let's just get this started. So the first thing I'm going to be talking about is my career. And excuse me if you can hear me flipping through notes as I'm doing this. This is my first review I've ever put on YouTube, so I'm not really sure how to do it. So, you know, I'm just kind of just going with the flow, and we'll see how it turns out. So, my career. The first thing I noticed is that you got to earn that starting spot. You start off a bench guy, and you got to earn those minutes. You got to make use of those minutes. Like for me, I'm a starting shooting guard, but my position is a 6'1" point guard. So it goes to show the coach can kind of mess with you a little bit. He can, you know, have you as a starting point guard one night and then a starting shooting guard the next night. So I mean, he has a little more choice now, the coach. It's not, you know, you're not just gonna play 5 games and you're starting point guard for life. No, you know, there was one game I started and I was a shooting guard. I played really well. It's on YouTube. You can check that out. And then the next game I was a point guard. So it goes to show you're not going to be playing the same position every time. The coach has the freedom now to switch you on positions. Another thing I noticed right out the gate is that assists are easier to get. And for point guards like me who like to pass first and like to be rewarded for their good passes, this is a great thing. They actually shoot wide open looks now. I mean, back in the day, you'll be playing for the Warriors. You'll be shooting guard. You'll pass to Steph Curry wide open, and he won't even shoot. But everybody knows in real life, Curry is a three-point shooter. He likes that shot. He'll take it any chance he gets. So that was one thing that was really stupid. I mean, guys just did not play like they do in real life. Oh man, look at that long 3 right there. So as you can see here in the clips I got playing in the background, collisions look a lot better. And I know that there's probably some people in the review saying, oh, there's no new animations, oh, there's no new dunks, this and that. But they're wrong. I mean, there's new animations, there's new layups, there's new dunks, there's new passing animations, you know, things like that. And as you can see in the background footage right there, collisions look much better. That's one thing they greatly improved on. Also, one thing I just want to throw in real quick before I start talking about my career a little more is that perfect releases truly matter now. You can make shots that are slightly early, slightly late even, but if you hit that perfect release, that shot is always going to go in. As you saw, that long distance 3, the only reason that went in is because it was a perfect release. So guys like me who have been using the same jump shot for the past 3 games, and that is a Vince Carter base with jump shot 10, just in case anyone's wondering. guys like that are going to be rewarded with their perfect releases. If you have a shot dialed, use that shot, because you won't miss on perfect releases ever. Alright, so just going back to my career real quick, I'm just going to talk about the trades. The trades now actually make sense. So say for instance, I was doing the rookie showcase, and I played, pretty well, decently enough to get myself, a nice couple picks. And one of my picks was the Phoenix Suns, and that's the pick I ended up going with. But to be honest, this didn't really make sense, this pick, to me at least, because you got Gordon Dragic, you got Isaiah Thomas now. You got a bunch of good point guards. There's no need for a third or fourth point guard, whatever they have now. So that didn't really make sense. So when I requested a trade, and this is what I'm talking about, the trades making sense. Still the drafts don't make any sense, but the trades make sense now. So I requested a trade to the Raptors, right? And I thought, oh, it's going to be like every other 2K game. I'm going to get to play for the Raptors now. No. The Raptors already have 4 point guards. So in real life, it would make no sense for them having another point guard. So I didn't get put on the Raptors. I got put on the Brooklyn Nets. And yeah, I was pretty pissed about that, being a Raptors fan. But I thought about it, and this made sense because the Brooklyn Nets were the lowest in bench scoring last season. So it made sense that they would try to look for bigger depth to their bench, adding a young point guard from the draft. So like I say, if you request a trade, it has to make sense now. So for the people wondering, Ernie's in the game, but there's no Shaq. And the presentation is better, but it's pretty much the same. For example, there's new angles for after basket cuts, and there's new angles for free throws, and little things like that. But other than that, the presentation is the same. One thing I also noticed is that fouls on shots are actually called. I used to press Y and just push right up against the shooter to stop him. You can't really do that much now. They'll actually call a shooting foul. And for example, times that somebody fouled you and they were never called. Those get called now. It's not like there's calls all the time, but they're more common. Another thing that people are probably wondering, there's no cutscenes in my career. Yeah, I was pretty upset by that. There's no cutscenes at all. Another thing, the rosters are not up to date. If I was playing for the Cavaliers, I'd be playing with LeBron and I'd be playing with Wiggins. So that trade with the Kevin Love in the game never happened. My career at least. You can always just load a new roster and your season will be the correct roster. But my career, as you guys know from previous years, once the roster's set in my career, you can't really change it. So, posterizer, for all you people who hated being posterized and not being able to do anything about it, those animations are still around, but they look much better and there's less vacuum effect. So, you can actually block it, but if you're sucked into the animation, then it looks better, but it's still the same. You can't block it. Chase down blocks are still doable, but they're much harder now. You're not going to have a point guard running up and blocking LeBron anymore. I used to love doing that. It was hilarious. Finishing and traffic animations are much better, as I mentioned earlier. The soundtrack is okay, typical 2K. Pharrell mentioned that he wanted to have more girly songs. So be prepared for more girl-friendly soundtracks. Kobe with the N1 right there, or the alley-oop I should say. I think he gets the N1 later in the video. I'm not even sure. So customization is the same. Few new haircuts, but the packages, like shooting packages, layup animations, dunk animations, it's all the same. I have a video on that if you want to see for yourself. The servers are still the same old 2K, but I gotta say online is noticeably smoother. And this footage you're seeing right now in the background, this is all online. It's only with one other person, so yeah, the connection is good, but most of the time it's smooth gameplay. The 2K player gear online, for Blacktop and stuff like that, it's basically the same. I have a video up on my channel of that if you guys want to check that out. My team, the exact same. Nothing more to say about that. Steph Curry's shot is still bad, and the player ratings are not what was advertised. I have a note here that says that exact sentence because I know people love Stephen Curry as a shooter, and I know people hated his shot. And touching more into the players not being rated as advertised, for example, DeMar DeRozan was an 85. They announced that. Everyone was a little upset about that, but I was happy because DeMar's my man, and I come on to this game, and I think he's like an 81. So the ratings aren't as advertised. Another thing I was a little let down by was the lack of signature dribbling they said they were going to have. I mean, sure, they didn't specify if it was going to be in current gen, but I was pretty pissed when I found out that they didn't have it. So I'm on to the part of the video. I still have more to say, but I'm just going to break it down because this is the question that everybody is asking themselves. Should you buy the game? The game is improved. It's more fun. Online has new modes. So if you're a guy who loves to play online with your friends every year, then yeah, buy the game. But if online never mattered to you and you're perfectly fine with missing wide open perfect release shots in 2K14, then just keep playing 2K14. But that being said though, the gameplay is much better. And I know I'm pretty far into my video already, and to be honest with you, I'm running out of background footage, but I still got lots to talk about, so don't you hit that close button just yet. I still got a lot more to drill into your head. And one thing I'm going to talk about right now is the player models. The player models look the exact same, minus the fact that, you know, players have new gear. For example, Damian Lillard now wears a headband. Big freaking deal. The jerseys look better, I think. As you can see, the numbers look like they're a little smaller, and I think this looks better because I feel like in the previous years, the numbers were way too freaking big. So one game mode that people are probably wondering they didn't bring back was Create a Legend mode. I got to admit, I was pretty pissed about this because I loved bringing guys like Allen Iverson out of retirement, Tracy McGrady, Vince Carter back to the Raptors, stuff like that. I was pretty upset when that wasn't returned. And just touching on KD in the game, he isn't idolized the same way LeBron was in 2K15. 14, sorry. There's no stupid speech before the game starts. There's no pictures of him everywhere. There's one picture, that's it. He's not idolized the same way. I like that. That's cool. Just touching back into gameplay real quick, I'm going to kind of switch what I talk about so, you know, keep everybody interested. The ball doesn't get smacked away as much as it used to. You know, you'll be dribbling and your teammate will run by, you know, it smokes off of his elbow and now it's out of bounds on him. And somehow it still counts as your turnover. Stuff like that still happens, but it doesn't happen nearly as much. So for guys who like to buy their stats, and to be honest, that wasn't really me, VC is still available and signature skills are back. There's no, I can't even remember what they called them now. Signature tags or whatever they called them in the next, I don't know. I don't care. But signature skills are back. That's all I know. I mean, some of the names are different. The alley-ooper is now Lob City Passer and stuff like that. They might be tweaked a little bit, but they're pretty much back and pretty much the same. Shoes are basically the same. I have a video on my channel if you guys want to check out all the different shoes. I have them all. I mean, they're pretty much the same. As a matter of fact, they took a couple pairs out that I miss. But whatever, what can you do? The new gather animations. I talked early in the video about animations. And one of the things I noticed were gather animations for layups. I mean, the way a guy picks up the ball before a layup. And the way he steps towards the basket. And there's new animations for that. And to me, that makes a big deal. Because after a while, they got pretty freaking old seeing the same layups over and over again. So the ball bounces more naturally now is one thing I noticed. When it hits the rim and bounces off, it doesn't fly over the backboard backwards and go out of bounds. Like I say, that stuff still happens, but it doesn't happen nearly as much now. because that was pretty annoying having the play end just because somebody missed a 3-point shot. Whatever. So there's no My League mode. As I mentioned earlier, there's no cutscenes, and there's no going undrafted. I did mention the rookie showcase earlier, but in case you skip to this part and you're just hearing it now, you don't go undrafted. You got to play the rookie showcase just like every other year. Crossovers are the same, but ankle breakers are better, and I noticed they happen a little more often. As you can see, that nasty VC ankle breaker right there. Yeah, nice Curry one there too. But in the previous games, you'd put one little dribble behind your back and the guy falls over. I mean, that was some stupid stuff. And you'll do like a crazy 10 move combo and he won't fall over. So that was pretty weird. This time around, ankle breakers are more natural and they're just better overall. Alright guys, so we're getting close to the end of the video. I just got a few more things I want to talk about. One of which is rebounding. Everybody knows that 13 to 14 was a great rebounding improvement. And I gotta say, they made it even better this year, because I find in 14 sometimes you'll jump up for a rebound, it'll be in your hand, and then it might warp out of your hand and end up in someone else's and they'll get the rebound. To me, that never made sense. So people can't really steal your rebounds the same way they could in the previous ones. And I know you guys all know this, that terrible stumble animation that used to happen when a guy is trying to run straight through you instead of actually getting creative and trying to get past you. You know, they'll try to run right through you and you'll end up stumbling, sometimes even out of bounds. That never happens anymore. I have never seen that happen yet. And for people who used to play quick matches or just felt like this was overpowered in general, alley-oops are definitely not as overpowered. I've seen a couple instances where a point guard will literally just jump straight out of the air and smack the ball right out of the air, preventing the alley-oop. I've seen it with shooting guards, I've seen it with point guards. It happens. It doesn't happen all the time, but it happens. Alley-oops are definitely not as overpowered now. And this might not matter for some, and I admit it doesn't really matter for me, but for people who really hated the opening song in 2K14, which was that Drake song, which I got to admit I don't like either, but like I say, it never really bothered me that much. The opening song now in 2K15 is pretty bumpin'. Like I said, the soundtrack in general is pretty good. Crew mode, I'm surprised that I'm just talking about this now, considering it's one of the best game mode, if not the best game mode in 2K15. You can take your crew to hardwood now and play with fouls, with NBA rules, free throws, getting fouled out, the rest of it. So it makes the whole game, playing with your friends, a little more realistic. You actually feel like you're playing some pickup ball or something with them. It actually matters. You're following your stats. It's your own guy, this and that. And one thing I noticed when they were releasing gameplay footage is they released a lot of practice mode footage of, guys like Stephen Curry, Kevin Durant, just taking shots. And one cool thing was that they had the rebounder that would pass the ball back to you and just help you keep going. You don't have to run over and pick the ball every time. They don't have that. They do not have that. I know, it sucks. I mean, the littlest little things they could give us, no, they don't want to do that. So I got some good news for the offline players, and I know that a couple of my subscribers like to play offline because I've got a few offline questions. Blacktop players are now free. I know in the past, if you're not connected to the internet, you can't even play as people like LeBron James or Kobe Bryant because you have to buy those people. Now, you don't have to buy them anymore, so you can just bring the game over to your buddy's house and you can play as Michael Jordan, LeBron James, whatever. This is going to be the last thing I talk about today. It's one more game mode that they didn't bring back. Why are you guys not surprised? I know. And this game mode is the dunk and 3-point contests. I know it's pretty strange they bring back the All-Star game, but no All-Star weekend. I mean, whatever. That's pretty strange, but you know 2K. So there's no dunk contest game mode. That being said, there is still the career dunk contest. Your guy can still be nominated and still play the dunk contest and still win, like I did last year as my small forward. Pretty hard to win the dunk contest, I admit, but it's still there. It's still winnable. So, I mean, it's going to be pretty cool to have a my career with a dunk contest winner. That's always cool. So I'm glad they at least gave it to us in my career. Well, guys, that's just going to wrap up the review today. So, again, this is D-Benz from Game Highlights and Edits. And like I said, it's my first game review. Hopefully the first of many if you guys liked it. Just let me know in the comments below. And I always respond to all of my commenters. I've made a part of my routine to check comments and respond to comments, because I know that there's a lot of people on YouTube that like to ignore their subscribers and their viewers, which is stupid, because these are the people that make you money. These are the people that you're doing this for. So I never understand why people ignore their subscribers. So that being said, leave it all down below. What did I miss? What did you like? What do you want to see next? Leave it all down below, and I'll be sure to check that out. And don't forget to leave a like and maybe even sub if you want to see more current gen content. This is D-Benz checking out. Guys, keep balling.